We're going to call the meeting to order. Welcome to the Wednesday, December 9th, 2015 Criminal Justice meeting. Roll call. Rip, please.
Commissioner Brown.
Present.
Carter.
Present.
Harris.
Present.
Herr. Here. Rodriguez. Here. Vice Chairman Little.
President.
Chairman Vieira. We have a quorum.
Thank you. We have an invocation from Pastor John Meadows. Thank you, sir, from Christian Life Assembly.
Yes. Let's stand and pray. Lord Jesus, we thank you so much that we're able to come here today and make our requests known to you. I pray that you would guide this commission and give them wisdom. I thank you for all those who serve us to keep our city safe. Pray that you would protect them and watch over them and give them wisdom as well. Protect our city from tragedies such as happened in San Bernardino, Lord. Father, that this would not come to our doors. And Father, we just give this to you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, sir. Sheldon, would like to lead us in the pledge?
Absolutely. Please recite with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Presentations, nothing. As you know, citizens are able, if they'd like to address the Criminal Justice Commission on agendized items. They may do so when it's being considered by the commission. Please complete a speaker card, hand it in, and you're limited to 3 minutes at the time we receive it. Your name is called. We have some minutes to approve. And Britt, what I understand is that we may be possibly having to do this in two separate.
It would be appropriate to take two actions on the minutes, one vote on the September minutes and then another separate vote on the October minutes.
And what I understand is that in case somebody was not present but yet read the minutes thoroughly, they are able to vote on that?
If they're comfortable voting on those minutes, yes, they may.
Okay. So I guess we'll look at CC1 on the consent calendar, approval of minutes dated September 9th, 2015. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
In saying so, please vote. Okay, that passes. We can get, and then we have on the consent calendar number 2 item, the approval of minutes dated October 14th, 2015. All that was here or not here if they've read the minutes, any changes they may see or want. If not, can I entertain a motion?
So moved.
Second? Second. Let's vote. Okay, moving on. We might as well jump right into the Sheriff's Department. Crime Trends Report.
Good morning, Commission.
Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Just want to take a quick time to introduce myself. My name is Deputy Kit Groupie. I'm assigned to Lancaster Sheriff Station. I've met and dealt with some of you. I've been assigned to Lancaster Station since 2009, and my current assignment is the Crime Prevention Community Relations position at the station. So let me start with the Crime Commission report. And this is going to be your stats or statistics for both the month of October and November. For October's stats for the burglary suppression team, felony arrests were 15, misdemeanor arrests were 1, parole probation arrests or related felony warrant arrests were 4, warrant arrests for misdemeanors were 6, Ramey warrants were 5, parole probation searches 1, and total amount of recovered stolen property in regards to money goes is $1,500. Firearms recovered were 1, and solved burglaries were 13. This goes again for the burglary suppression team for the month of November. And that's going to be felony arrests were 25, parole probation arrests were 4, felony warrant arrests 4, misdemeanor warrant arrests 2, and recovered vehicles 2. Ramey warrants 2, and parole probation searches 4. Recovered stolen property totaled in the amount of $7,400, and they had 30 solved burglaries. And we'll move on to the month of October again. We'll go back to October for the narcotics team or narcotic-related arrests. For patrol of adults in the month of October, we had 27 felony arrests in relation to narcotics, and the narcotics team or the crew had 6 felony arrests. Misdemeanor arrests for narcotic arrests for patrol and adults were 46, and for juveniles 14, and the crew had 1 misdemeanor adult arrest for the month of October. Total recovered marijuana in grams for patrol is 433.9. For the narcotics team looks like 24,510.8. Marijuana plants, as far as in units go, none for patrol, and for the narcotics team, we had a total of 10. Methamphetamine powder in the form of grams for patrol, 433.9. And with the narcotics crew, 1867.7. Patrol had recovered 0.8 grams of cocaine, 8.8 grams for the narcotics team. As well as November goes for narcotics. Felony arrests for patrol was 30. The narcotics team had 12 felony arrests for adults, and patrol had 1 felony arrest for narcotics. Misdemeanor arrests for adults were 46 and 13 for juveniles, so 46 for adults and 13 for juveniles in the area of misdemeanors, and the team didn't have any. As far as grams of marijuana recovered by patrol, it's 1949.2, no plants, and 292.30 for the narcotics team. Methamphetamine in grams, 234.6 for patrol and 372.7 for the team. And cocaine in the area of patrol, 3.9 grams, and the crew didn't have any. October's statistics for the land cap team. Felony arrests for the month of October was 53, and they had 39 misdemeanor arrests. They also had 2 firearms recovered, and the estimated value of illegal narcotics, they had $84,523. For November, felony arrests for the land cap team was 51. Misdemeanor arrests was 8. They had also 2 firearms recovered, and the estimated value of illegal narcotics was $86,003. So we'll move on to CompStat.
Before we move on, can we go back
Yes, sir.
To the land cap?
Yes, sir.
slide? Oh, one more. I'm sorry. The narco team.
Oh, for the narco team, sir? Or for land cap? I'm sorry.
The one where I saw there was 0 narco crew arrests for both the adults and juveniles. Make that one.
That one there's, it showed.
The misdemeanors. Is that because narco is really after the larger criminal, and or is it does Prop 47 play into that 0
I'm sorry.
misdemeanor?
I'm sorry. I'm kind of not understanding your question. So we're in the month of November
Yes.
for the narco team. And your question is the difference between patrol and what the narco team is doing? Yes, if you look, I don't know what it is for November, but I noticed that there's less arrests made. If we can go back to October, just to give you an idea, they're going for the larger amounts. If you'll see marijuana in grams, the 24,510.8 with the plants. So there may be less arrests made out of that, but they're recovering more narcotics out of it, if that makes sense. Did that answer your question, sir?
That makes
Okay.
sense. That makes sense. Yes.
Also, too, most of their narcotics team, they're serving search warrants for people that are selling drugs. So most of their, just on that matter, most of their drugs or their arrests will be sales cases, possession of sales and that type of stuff. That is more of their ideas. They're going after the seller.
Okay. Makes sense. Thank you.
Back to the CompStat. Okay, so CompStat for the city of Lancaster for November of 2015. Violent crimes in November were at 78. Property crimes were at 336. Total Part 1 crimes were 414. Violent crime arrests that were made is 88. Property crime arrests, 65. Total arrests, 153. Unique earns issued, there was 1,524 earns issued for the month of November, so reports. Are you all familiar with earns? Uniform report number, so that's a report that was given for the month. It's hard to see the, can you guys see that up there? I'm going to read it to you here. So for November of 2015 compared to November of 2014, the comparison current crime rate per 10,000 population for crimes. And we're in November, so it was last year for Part 1 crimes was 402 year-to-date, and we're at 414 for the month of November. We're going to go to reporting districts, and I'm going to kind of brief you. Did you have a question, sir? I'm sorry. You're good? Okay. Basically, the most active reporting districts for Part 1 crimes in November of 2015. For the reporting district of 1137, which covers, in the reporting district, 1137 covers Challenger Way to 40th Street East, and from Avenue J to Avenue L, there were 54 total Part 1 crimes for the month of November. For the reporting district of 1135, which covers Challenger Way to 30th Street East, from Avenue H to Avenue J, there were 45 total Part 1 crimes. Reporting District 1121, which covers 20th Street West to Sierra Highway, and Avenue H to I, there was a total of 42 Part 1 crimes. 1122, which covers 20th Street West to Sierra Highway from Avenue I to J, a total of 40 Part 1 crimes. And reporting District 1126 covers 20th Street West to 10th Street West. From Avenue J to Avenue M, there were a total of 35 Part 1 crimes. So if you'll look, those are the City of Lancaster hotspot areas for November of 2015. Did anyone have questions? I'm sorry. Commissioner Rodriguez? Go back to 11, you said what? 1127?
Was in our report for September, there was 1127 on the state Part 1 crime.
Okay, I have, which falls under it, I'm going to have break it down. It's not in the breakdown, and I'm sorry for that, but there are some other Part 1 crimes that I'll be briefing you on RD 1127. So we'll go to residential burglaries for November of 2015, which is reporting District 1137, which I had covered Challenger Way to 40th Street East and J to L. The total residential burglary count for that was 23. 1135 had a total of 12. 1121 had 8. 1123 had 8. And 1126 had a total of 7. Those are the residential burglaries for November. There's an area of the residential burglaries for November on the map. So robberies for 2015, reporting District 1122, there were a total of 5. 1137, there was a total of 4. 1126, there were 3. 1121, there were 3. And 1127, which covers 60th Street West to 20th Street West, Avenue I to K, there were a total of 3. So there were, and Commissioner Rodriguez, you asked me, and I believe that was just a typo on my part, so I apologize for that. And then if we'll move on, the City of Lancaster robberies on the map. Where are we at? You can move forward. Monthly trends for November of 2015. See that we're basically average for the monthly trend of 2015 for homicides. The rapes that occurred over a year period, looks like we're going to be under average for November of 2015. The robberies for a year period from last year to now for 2015, the average it looks like is 27, and we're just above average for the robberies over a period of a year. Aggravated assaults, looks like the average is 50, and we're under that from last year, and we're at just above 40. Burglaries, the average is 110, and we're looking at probably around 120, just above.
Excuse me,
Yes, sir.
for November, on as far as residential burglaries, are we above or below average for November?
Burglaries as a whole, I don't have it broken down, sir. I'm sorry, as far as the residential, differentiated from a commercial burglary, but it looks like we're over.
Okay. I guess that would be a kind of an important crime set, especially going into the holiday season, so I was just curious if we're up and if it's above average or...
Yes, sir, it is above average
Above
right now. Larceny thefts over a year period, the average looks like 167, and we're below that at around 150. Grand theft vehicles over a year period, the average is 41, and it looks like we're over at about 50. Arsons over a year period, the average is 6, and it's obviously gone up into the area of 18 to 20.
Do we have a reason for that? Why it's the sudden spike?
Well, I know in recent times there was one person that was going around and committing trash fires throughout the city, which really spiked up the arsons. So that would be the reason why it spiked from that. We didn't have that last year. So it was one person going around. I don't know if you saw it in the paper or anything like that.
Has that person been apprehended?
Yes.
Yes, he has.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. The City of Lancaster, sorry, Josh. The Part 1 frequency by reporting district, there's the map for you, broken down, and I have a copy for you also if you guys want to look at it closely during your meeting or after. And that's all I have for you, Commission. Did you have any questions for me?
Commissioners?
Just looking back at the at your bar graphs there, the comparisons between 2014 and 2015. When was it that that Prop 47 was enacted? Was that December 14? November of 14? Because I see there's a common theme with the comparisons between 14 and 15, where 15 is much higher after the enactment of Prop 47 and AB 109. Just wanted to make that apparent.
Deputy, what things can local residents, on my last question, in this type of holiday season, that they can do? You say home burglaries are up
Yes, sir.
considerably.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Holiday, prop, what is your idea what local citizens can do to prevent? Some ideas? Is there something they can go to? Website? I mean, obviously, we're all concerned about public safety and everything else.
Yes, sir.
And you do a fantastic job. But what ideas would come forth to you to protect our citizens, or what else is the Sheriff's Department doing?
As far as myself, along with Lancaster Sheriff Station and the City of Lancaster, we have started doing public service announcements on local radio with city employees from the Public Safety Office, along with myself, simply reminding citizens while they're out holiday shopping not to leave extra items in the car or in plain view. Be aware of your surroundings when you're in parking lots. Don't voice you going on vacation on Facebook or to the neighborhood if you do go on vacation, because you're leaving yourself an open target for these types of crimes that have gone up. Basically, prevention, thinking outside of the box for the community, just a little bit more of awareness, if you will. We also do Nixle updates on where to go on the Sheriff's Department website. We have a Facebook that we basically utilizing social media for crime prevention tips and public service announcements.
How does the Sheriff's Department get that out to the general public?
Via computer, Nixle,
Okay.
Facebook.
So my point is that if I'm sitting in the audience and you mention that name, it means I'm blind to it. So
Okay.
where is the general public understanding what that means, and how can they get to that site what are we doing as a commission or the Sheriff's Department to get that out there? Are we putting it in print? Are we putting an ad out? Are we letting them, or is it just word of mouth?
No, not by any means. It's not word of mouth. If you go on our station website, you can see and basically how to access that information. There's a key on the right of our website that'll have Nixle, Facebook for extra information. Also,
Go ahead. I'm sorry, sir.
I have not put it out via, when I do a voice like radio type announcement, public service announcement on the local radio stations or Time Warner cable news for different things that are going on. I'm just using it in plain voice, but I'm not sharing the two, if you will, letting people know that they can go. We just recently did for like active shooters, and maybe I'm sorry if I'm drifting off.
Oh, no,
Stop
not
me.
at all.
I just did a recent public service announcement for an active shooter video that was released in light of the tragedy in San Bernardino. Our department released a video to the public and what to do safety-wise in the event that you're at a home, office, mall, school, in the event of an active shooter. And I did tell people, basically educate them on where to go and where they can find it on the website via using the camera and the television.
It seems to me that it would be a huge proponent as far as getting it out there to the general public and understanding what that means, and getting it to them so they know where to look, what to talk about, and so. But
Vice Chair Little, if
Yes,
I
sir.
could just, I can tell you that through the city's website, through our public safety drop-down. It links to the Sheriff's Department's, not only to the station, but the Sheriff's Department advertises that on their general website, on their home site. And Kit, what he's explained to you, we've done very active the last several months, PSAs and different announcements through radio as it related to holiday safety. And actually, what's not coming out, because we've gone 2 months in stats, that we had a significant drop in burglaries from October to November, okay, based on some of the activity that Lieutenant Harris and the Captain Nelson implemented through the station. The other thing is that we've done things that I can tell you, the one that I think has been amazing is Cinemark. Okay, we've had the station do things with Cinemark, and just for the response, just even for new neighborhood watch signups, has been unbelievable. So I will tell you, that's one that I think we should really consider as far as an information site, and we've done an update every month. But Kit just recently did a radio block that is going to be coming out Friday. Christy, raise your hand. Christy did the last one, so if you listen to the local radio on holiday safety. So this is another way we're trying to reach out. I agree with Nixle's not the most common. The city's actively now working in all social media facets. So maybe there's a way that we can do through the other social networking that we're using here, or social websites, and as far as our announcements and notifications, maybe make something inclusive and link to Nixle for people in the public in that, make them more aware.
Great.
So that's something we can definitely address.
Great.
If I can add one thing also, Coffee with the Deputy. We advertise that. That'll be tomorrow morning.
Read that, saw that.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
So local
Great,
newspaper,
great.
Article 2. I just wanted to add, as Mr. DeRico was speaking, I also contacted the local Antelope Valley Press and the AV Times, who said they'd be putting out articles in the next month with some of my holiday safety tips that I've gotten from the department. So it'll also be broadcast or put out there with the Antelope Valley Press and the Antelope Valley Times.
Fantastic. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate everything you do.
Okay, I appreciate you guys also.
We can't say enough to you and the Sheriff's Department on how you handle everything that's going on in our city, and thank you so much.
Okay, thank you
welcome.
for having me. I appreciate it. I'm sorry, sir? These here?
For us? Yes.
Yes, sir. I can provide you a copy of that,
Okay,
sir.
thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, with that said, you're right. We like to have those, a couple days before. I know there was a short time this time, and I understand that, but yeah, that'd be great. Then it gives us a chance to ask a question that we don't quite understand. Thank you, sir. California Highway Patrol, Mr. Franklin, District Attorney's Office.
Thank you. As I indicated earlier, November is when Prop 47 took effect last year. So I ran the filings, the felony filings and misdemeanor filings from November 2014 through November 2015, and which is what we've seen throughout the year, and it's holding true. The year to date felony filings, which would be through November 2015, from January 1st, 2015 until through November of 2015, is 2,714 cases. Compare that to 2014, the same time period, and there was 3,457 felony cases filed. So that's a reduction of approximately 22%, which would be, I think, directly reflective of drug possession is now, if it's for personal use or if there's just not enough there to demonstrate for the purposes of sale, that's a straight misdemeanor now. The fact that what was formerly Penal Code Section 666, which is petty theft with a prior, if you have 3 prior misdemeanors, the next one's going to be, it could be a felony. That's been eliminated, so now it's just a revolving door at Walmart and any other major marketing chain. and and the theft crimes, if it's below 950 in value, and that would include vehicles, which is why you may have seen a spike in vehicle thefts. If the item is worth less than 950, and that would include firearms, by the way, then it's going to be a misdemeanor. So I think that all of that combined is why we see this reduction of approximately 22% in felony filings here in the Antelope Valley. So that would be Lancaster and Palmdale, obviously. Misdemeanors, interestingly enough, there's just, you would think that the 22% would then fall into the misdemeanor category, but that doesn't appear to be the case, and I don't have a reason as to why. I would only be speculating. But through November 2014, from January 1st through November, there was 7,064 misdemeanors filed, and in 2015, 7,192. So it was an increase of about 1%. So as I indicated, I don't have an answer to that. I also wanted just to indicate that as far as felony trials, we're about on par. We currently have tried 144 felonies. I think by the end of the year, it'll be approximately 150 jury trials that we've tried. Some of those actually would be misdemeanors, but the far majority is felony. Just to put that in perspective, that's about just a little bit less than what Van Nuys, San Fernando, and Pasadena, which would be the closest branches to us, do just about combined. So I do want to point out there was an article in the Antelope Valley Press that indicated that, or one could infer, it's not written particularly well, that we're pleading down some of the serious crimes for what would be a misdemeanor drug offenses, and that's just simply not the case. I'm not sure how that was interpreted, but it's simply not the case. The reason we try so many felonies is because during settlement negotiations, we don't do negotiations for the purposes of merely moving cases along. That's not our job. Our mission statement is we do justice and we protect the citizenry of the Antelope Valley. So consequently, we end up trying a lot of cases because we're not going to just move it along. And it would be interesting to talk to the defense bar. I think they'd chuckle if they were to hear that we're plea bargaining down cases, serious and violent cases, just to move them along. It would be interesting to see their comment, but I'm sure they'd get a big smile on their face because it's not correct. So our folks are working real hard. Obviously, we could use more personnel. They're talking about still building out 2 additional courts, and one of those may be a criminal court, but that's still in the works right now. So, absent any questions, that would conclude what I have to say.
I know you said that the 21% donut hole in the statistics kind of, I guess,
the 22% and then the 1%.
Right, the 22% to the 1%. Is there any way to dig deeper, maybe into that anomaly, to find out where that 21% went?
I could certainly talk to Mr. DeRico and Sheriff's Department, and we could kind of see where we are on that.
Well, I can tell you that, and that was one of the things I was going to talk about. The issue with, and the Sheriff's Department's done a study on repeat offenders as it relates to Prop 47, and has some information that we'll be bringing out to you, as well as it also relates to the step up in adult and juvenile diversion type programs. Okay, and that's something we're really taking a hard look at right now on how that, and especially as it relates to juvenile delinquency, juvenile crime. Okay, and statistically that number, and that might tell, I believe it'll have a relationship to this story on more and more of how things are being managed and diverted and those issues as well. So there's different theories that are going on. And again, I want to bring that to you in a report, and we'll definitely address that and sit down with Mr. Franklin. And the Sheriff's Department's already looking at those issues right now as that relates to Prop 47. So the impact of Prop 47, I think, goes a lot farther than probably anyone realizes, just on the narcotic aspect of it, how you manage narcotics case, and the fact that there's no offset now. You can continually commit a narcotics possession offense, and you're not even required to even go involved in any kind of drug counseling or diversion. At that point, you do time served in jail for the day you were there, and you're out again.
So would those be included in the misdemeanor offenses, or are those just simply infractions at that point?
They'd be included. They would be misdemeanors, but as Mr. DeRico indicated, they're going to go in, they're going to plead open, they're going to, even if they were given 6 months, they're going to be turned around very quickly in county jail. It's just not considered a high-level offense when you're looking at a small amount of narcotics now. Not that that's correct, and I agree with it, but it's just going to breed additional serious crime in the future.
And that fast turnaround being a direct result of 109 and Prop 47.
In my opinion.
The combination of the two.
And the discussion
In my
that we've
opinion,
had
yeah.
over incarceration rates in the state and what's been done for years, even beyond the scope of those two issues. I think the biggest one with Prop 47 is there's perfect examples you can see out there. And I mean, not that they're amusing, but at the same time, like a gentleman who didn't even start stealing bikes until he realized that he could steal a bike every day that was worth less than $950. And then, if the offset was worthy of getting caught occasionally for stealing that bike. And he had 16 arrests that were still continuing. Or the other one, who was the gentleman who went to the retail store with a calculator so he could calculate the theft of goods, and as long as he kept it under $950 that he knew, in a couple of days he could do it again. So these are things that have actively been in the media and in the newspaper.
And the perpetrators know exactly what they're doing, and that's the problem. I mean, they know exactly where to push the limit and when they can get back and do it again.
I mean, so, this is what the law enforcement's up and the DA's office is up against. Okay?
So is there any indication that Sacramento is getting this?
Well,
or is it falling on deaf ears, as most things?
The one thing that may get their attention, and I'm not sure exactly what they're doing right now in order to rectify some of the problems or most of the problems of Prop 47. The whole thing's problematic in my mind. But the reality is, now that if you are found in possession of drugs and you are an addict, there's absolutely no incentive to get clean. The incentive we had before was obviously if you want to get clean, that's one thing, but addicts don't for the most part. But if you have a felony with a substantial amount of prison incarceration over their head, they will go to diversion programs, or they will go to drug court. They will do something to avoid being placed in an incarcerated setting. We have, with the imposition of Prop 47, we've taken that away. So there's no longer that incentive to get clean. It's just not there. There's no, unless they really want to get clean on their own, there's just no incentive. Why would they go to drug court when they can just go back to using narcotics? There's just no incentive.
Mr. Franklin, question. Did I understand you correctly that our court up here, your office, prosecuted 150 felonies, and that was equal to the San Fernando Valley area?
It's slightly less, But San Fernando, I think, has tried about 60 jury trials. So I was combining Van Nuys and Pasadena. We try a lot of cases here, and I bring that out only for the purposes of indicating that, unlike one could read into the article that was in the AV press, that we're letting serious cases go just to get rid of them, that's clearly not the case. We hang tough on settlement negotiations, and if the defense wants to call our bluff, fine. I've got young trial attorneys that are raring to go, and we'll try these cases. So, but those are combined. When I said felony, actually, I misspoke. It was felony and misdemeanors. We try misdemeanors too, but the majority are clearly felony.
But clearly, we're more aggressive, or you're more aggressive here than they are in the San Fernando Valley as far as trying these cases.
Well, I don't.
As far as negotiating them out.
I can only tell you how I do it, which is where we hang very firm, and we don't. We're not afraid to go to trial up here, and we have excellent cooperation with the Sheriff's Department. And this is a community that obviously wants to remain safe, and I understand that, and my troops understand that, and that's what we do.
And how many attorneys are on your staff?
Approximately about, give or take, about 35. I'd have to actually sit down and count them out, but
Thank you.
sure.
Vice Mayor Christ.
I want to point out that when we were doing the article in the paper that Mr. Franklin's referring to, we were referring to the problems that develop from Proposition 47 and AB 109. Those are the main two components. We have the most productive sheriff department in the entire county. So we not only have the largest contract, but we have the most productive law enforcement agency in the entire county. And what that means is they do more stops, they do everything more across the board is on top of that. Plus our DA's office does more jury trials, does everything, and if it was misconstrued or written that way that infers that the DA or the Sheriff Department is not doing their job, it shouldn't have been. And we apologize for that if it was inferred that way by anybody. What we're trying to say is Proposition 47 is a disaster. AB 109 is a disaster. And we need our state officials, and we told the paper at the time to call the state officials, not necessarily our two representatives, because our two representatives have put in bills that have tried to mitigate some of the damages that Proposition 47 has created. But until we get that taken care of, we're still looking at a major problem, but our Sheriff's Department is doing their job and our DA is doing their job. So I just wanted to make that clear.
Thank you, sir.
And to reiterate your point, just by looking at the numbers, it is apparent to me that Sacramento doesn't care about inundating communities with criminals, period. Prop 107, Prop 109 and AB 109 and Prop 47 are clear examples of the non-care that Sacramento has for communities and the people who have to deal with their bad decisions.
I think you're right, but I think too, and to what Vice Mayor said is that basically we have a community, Mr. Dorico, the Sheriff's Department, Mr. Franklin, CHP, who work extremely hard. And I've had the pleasure, like I've said before, of being on the sheriff board for 15 years and seeing the money that's raised that stays in this community and watching these individuals take this tough action. It's like they have to be commended for what they're having to deal with. So I thank you. So anything else? All righty. Jocelyn, City Attorney.
Good morning. Just an update. Last night at their regular meeting, City Council adopted the business license ordinance that we had brought before you. You made a recommendation to them last month, I believe it was. So that was adopted last night. It will be effective January 7th. We've already started a sort of an overhaul of the reviewing process for the live scans and the background checks and so forth, and we'll be fine-tuning that as we get into the implementation of the new ordinance. We're looking forward to that. I think we're all positive that that's going to have a good effect on screening out problem businesses before they start. The next issue that we're going to need to address concerns the new medical marijuana laws that have been adopted by the legislature and signed by the governor concerning the licensure and regulation of medical marijuana dispensaries, delivery of marijuana, cultivation of marijuana. A city's inherent police power to outright ban such activities within the city has not been changed. We still have that authority. That's something we're going to have to discuss, and we're going to meet with city personnel, and then we'll be bringing to you in January the topic for discussion, so we can get your guidance before taking it to City Council with a recommendation for how to proceed. I think that's all I have to report.
Just on that topic,
Sure.
if I may add, is that, and explain to the public, is that this is a state thing that's been approved by the state, and the federal government has not approved it.
That's correct. It's still a crime under federal law. What I've heard is that the feds are still taking it pretty seriously. I'm not hearing anything that indicates they're intending to back down in any way. I think Colorado, in some respects, has amped it up. Not really sure about that. And really, I don't think anybody has any idea how this is going to play out in California when these new laws really come into effect. It's going to be interesting to see. With respect to, I believe it's the cultivation laws in particular, if a city wants to prohibit that, something has to be in place effective March 1 of 2016. So we're going to get a move on that quickly.
Thank you. Any questions? Mr. DeRico, sir.
It's always good. I already scratched off about half my list already in the discussion we had. Just want to make sure that the public is aware. We take the holiday safety issues here in our community very seriously. Right now, actively, the Sheriff's Department's out in holiday patrol. If you've been out in our shopping centers and stuff, you'll see those deputies out there making contact with the public. We've so far it's gone very well. Okay, we haven't had any significant issue as it relates to the holiday activity so far. Black Friday went very well, or I don't even know what we call Thursday anymore. Okay, but even through that whole process and with the number of folks that are out there, it's gone fairly smoothly. I think I want to bring up the issue with the burglary thing. Again, we did see a certain spike at a period of time. A lot of that is what you'll probably see as we bring information forward as the number of repeat offenders as it relates to that, especially as it regards to juveniles. It's quite interesting to look at on how that process has worked. Currently, we've been directed by the city manager and the city council to investigate that issue as far as repeat offenders and at what level in the juvenile system on where those kids actually become accountable for their actions and when that's actually presented in a court where it's not diverted prior to that. So I think that's going to be an interesting thing for us to investigate and look at and then get some direction from you as a commission on what direction we want to go and make that recommendation to our council. Let you know that the social host ordinance that you approved and recommended to the city council is in full swing. The deputies out there on our weekend party cars and with the help of the folks from Tarzana that have been involved in this process, the deputies are out citing now these chronic nuisance social host type party issues, and actually we've had a significant number of citations written. We've only had one contestment so far. Now, of course, we're waiting to see their checks, okay, because that'd be really nice, okay? But at least we're not seeing where the deputies are having to respond back to those locations. So it's definitely sending a very clear message that we have very low tolerance for that in this community, and we're not going to have some of that related activity that's taken place in the past. We also implemented in October to our largest retail chain, our Prop 47 program for dealing with shoplifting. Okay, or shoplifting type burglaries. We had a meeting and a training with those individuals, and that's currently up and running now. So we'll have some numbers we'll be able to bring to you. And again, that's not a cost-saving measure. It's to take those deputies that typically would have to respond to those locations and freeing them up to do other things, and then we manage that differently through an administrative program that we have here. And then again, working with the recommendations from Mr. Franklin as well as the Sheriff's Department as we vet those individuals that commit those offenses. If they're worthy of something that would escalate their situation to change their behavior, then that's handled appropriately. So we've mapped that out, we've worked through that process together, and then again, we've implemented it and then should have some information for you for the January's meeting. But I will tell you that it was received very well by the retail store that we're piloting this through. Okay.
Great.
A big one right now, and then you've probably seen it, because I know you guys follow this stuff, but the spice issue that we've discussed, that Lance came and gave us a great presentation on with the synthetic marijuana, this is becoming a national recognized issue. We have kids having issues all over the place, and I think this is something, as we work with our legislative representatives and have those discussions, that this is somehow got to get in the drug schedule and be able to be managed differently. As well, we know and we've discussed the sale of these things is illegal, but the possession is not. Okay, and there's so many issues as it relates to this now that are coming about, and especially the impact on our youth and symptomatic reactions and people ending up in hospitals and even death as it relates to some of these formulas. So I think that's something I think we need to aggressively, for the health and safety of our community, take the forefront on through this commission and recommendation through our council, which our city is very progressive, our council, and being the first to do things. And we've historically done that and are not afraid. And I think this is definitely something that we need to really push very hard right now. And with that, I just want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas, a Happy Holiday. I think everyone's kind of interesting to watch what happens statistically now through this month and some of the activity that's going out there. I know that I'm sure Mr. Paul will have some goodwill statement for us all. He saved us last night at the meeting. But I think, it's just a thing that people be respectful of each other as we're through this process. And understanding the kids are going to be out of school here for a few weeks, so we got to be on our game to make sure that their activity out there, they have something to do that's not negative. And with that, I'd like to actually turn the mic over to our legislative representatives for any update they may have.
Russ, anything?
As you know, the Assembly is not in session right now for the rest of the year. I mentioned the Prop 47 earlier. Our group is aware of this. Sacramento's a different case itself up there. Assemblyman Lackey has tried to put together, as he mentioned a couple months ago, it's Prop 47 voted in by the public. It's not just going to go away, so we're going to try to look at it. He's looking at it right now, trying to break it down piece by piece by piece and trying to correct the wrongs of it. Unfortunately, a couple bills have already been knocked down that he's put through, so hopefully that will change. But that will continue on. They'll continue on trying to go after each wrong and try to correct it into a right. Other than that, they're not in session, so that's a good thing.
Thank you, Russ. Rick, how about?
Well, Sharon says it well. California's safe. They're out of session, so no new bills are being presented. I want to thank Lee for coming in and Jocelyn for coming into the office and speaking with the center. That had such an impact, even as we're developing our legislative package for next year. It was even brought up last week about what the senator is going to be able to do to help. So you're going to be called on again to help form and craft this bill that'll be presented. So thank you for coming in. It was heard. And we're going to try to move forward next year on the bath salts and the spice issue in the state of California.
Thank you, Rick. At this point in time we have the opportunity for non-agenda items to speak to the commission. You to fill out a business card, a speaker card, excuse me, and you have 3 minutes, and I have one from Mr. David Paul.
Mr. Vice Chair and Commissioners, good morning. First of all, I would like to say thank you to the Vice Mayor for that high honor of being able to close out the meeting last night. I appreciate that. Sometimes after a talk, I get a little excited. It's hard to sleep, and it was fortuitous because I turned on the TV. I found a brand new show. It's called American Badass, and I recommend this to everybody. Now, what happens is they take 5 historical figures, they rate them in 5 criteria of how you faced adversity, how you faced danger, how you handled challenge. And the thing that struck me was Theodore Roosevelt beat out Neil Armstrong by 1 point. But the part about Neil Armstrong that amazed me was the reason this man was chosen for the high single honor of being the first man on the moon was because he was humble. He was not the most humble astronaut. He was the most humble man the people that made that decision had ever met. And that's what heartens me when I come around this room and look at all you warriors and the humility you face. District Attorney Franklin, that's badass to prosecute these criminals. Thank you. Mark and Jason, it's badass the way you manage this city and just keep on it. Dr. Brown, the way you save lives from any tragedy that comes and just keep at it, that's badass. Lisa Rodriguez, the way you help people in the most troubled times of their life and keep at it, that's badass. Anybody else here that I haven't mentioned, I appreciate what you do so much. Our vice mayor, this man is straight up badass. And just this morning, Mr. DeRico, who I couldn't have more respect for, told me some stories about his foster children that made me respect you even more. That, sir, was badass. Thank you. You know, I appreciate the Sheriff's Department, the Fire Department, the way our local heroes go about making this community better, fearlessly facing down all that comes. That is badass. Thank you. Merry Christmas.
Mr. Paul, I just got a message from the Vice Mayor. He says you can take another 25 minutes. Thank you, sir. It's always a pleasure to have you here at every meeting. I saw you last night, and I know the City Council appreciates all the positive things that you say about this city, and because there is tons of it, you know, and if it wasn't for the people that are involved with the city, that's where we're at. So, and Jocelyn, you're badass too. She keeps it straight on there. So with that, I would like just to go out and say that thank you, Mr. Paul, Mr. Franklin, Sheriff's Department, unbelievable. Vice Mayor Christ, your leadership with the City Council has been unbelievable. A friend for 40 years. I see the endless and tireless work that you do with the Sheriff's Department, senior citizens, AVTA, all the things that you put into this city is amazing. How you do it and where you find the energy is amazing to me. Mr. Bozigian, leadership, unbelievable. I have to say thank you. You do it professional. You do it, your doors open, and I thank you. Mr. Cottle, thank you, sir. The same thing. There's not been a one time that I haven't been able to pick up a phone call. You've returned my call. You do say, what do you want now? But it's always a pleasure to talk to you. Yeah. Mr. Franklin, I don't know how, as many cases and this and that and what we're dealing with is amazing. And you and your 35 plus or whatever it takes attorneys is amazing. And to take your time out to be here is amazing, and I thank you. You know, so Mr. DeRico, how long have we known each other? Forever. You know, and there's not a time that I've seen the endless hours that you put in and how you do things, and it's straightforward, right to the point. And there's been many times you've given me extreme direction and on certain items, and what you do for the city and to keep the city safe and is amazing, and you should be commended. Jocelyn, thank you for all the things that we think that we're right on, and then you say legally we're not, you know, and you keep us straight and this and that and everything. So thank you so much for the insight that you, and Britt, this paperwork that you send up here, And when I look at you and say, huh, what am I supposed to do with this? You are amazing, and thank you so much. And as many times I've called you and asked you this and that, you've been so gracious and keeping us straight. As far as my fellow commissioners, amazing. Jen, Howard, we've had the pleasure of serving on the Sheriff's Department. As far as the board, great. Sheldon, great friend, gotten to know you. Lisa, very welcome to this. And Sheldon, with the Water District, you got your hands full too on that one. So congratulations for that. That's a big honor. Dr. Brown, thank you, sir. I hope I never have to see you in an emergency. But if I do, you'd be the man I'd want to see. So with that, I'll turn it over to anybody else that has anything else. And with that saying, I hope everybody has an incredible, incredible holiday. Safe holiday. Keep it safe. Like Mr. DeRico said, it's a crazy time out there. Always look over your shoulder. Always look around you. Always be aware of the other person, where you're walking, what you're doing, how you're storing this. Keep a light on when you leave the house, whatever it may be. It's important. So any other comments from the commission?
I'd just like to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and have a safe and happy New Year. It's a pleasure to serve on this commission, and it's a pleasure to be involved with a community that is strongly adverse to crime. Unfortunately, our society has accepted that everything has a reason to exist, and it's okay for anything. And this community doesn't believe that, and I'm proud to be a part of it. Thank you.
Well, I was fortunate enough to have an opportunity to say my thank yous to the staff last night, but I especially want to say a couple of very special thank yous, and that's to the Public Safety Department, because of the work you do. You do the grunt work out there, and you keep us all safe. And there's a lot of things that you see that we'll never know that goes on, that you put up with, and I thank you for your time and your service. And I want to say a special thank you to Jason Cottle for the way he handled the recent rains. And there's a lot of people who will be able to enjoy their holiday season a little bit more because of your actions and the way you took the helm and took care of those people. So a very special thank you to you for how you handled that.
Anything else? Well, without anything else, we will adjourn this meeting to Wednesday, January 13th, 2016 at, oh, I'm sorry, Lee, I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's freezing. I just want to say Merry Christmas and Happy New Year's. Thank you, Mr. DeRico. I'll see you after this. But Merry Christmas and Happy New Year's to everybody, and thank you. And I'm it's a pleasure of being up here and being able to be a part of this commission. Thank you.
With that now, I think I'm okay. We will adjourn it to Wednesday, January 13th, 2016 at 10 a.m. Thank you.